KREM 2 News 10 at 10 begins now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. Let's get started this evening. New information tonight about the large brush fire west of Spokane. At this time, those evacuations have been listed, and at last check, that fire was 25% contained. That fire began around 5:30 this evening near Highway 2 and Russell Road near Erie Heights. Spokane police say a suspect is in custody facing reckless burning charges. SPD says he started the fire with a campfire torch. Fire crews will still remain on scene throughout the night. Be sure to tune in tonight at 11, where we'll show you more video from that scene. And of course, a big factor that fueled today's fire were the strong winds from today. Meteorologist Michelle Bosch joining us now in the Weather Center. And Michelle, as we head into the rest of tonight, what is the timeline for these winds?
Well, it's still going to be breezy overnight and actually through the day tomorrow, but the peak wind gust should not be as strong as what we saw today. Here's our weekend in a nutshell. We are looking at much colder temperatures. It will remain breezy on Saturday. Wind gusts up to around 35 miles per hour. We saw a gust up to 45 miles per hour today, but high temperatures much colder, only in the 40s. Right now, it is still windy out there. Sustained winds between 15 and 25 miles per hour, but we are not seeing those higher gusts. So it is just a little bit less windy, but we have plenty of cold air moving into the region. In fact, winter weather advisories for the higher terrain in the Cascades. Could see up to a foot of snow across Stevens and Snoqualmie Pass. So slow going there with that advisory continuing until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then across the Blues in southeastern Oregon, or southeastern Washington and northeastern Oregon, that winter weather advisory goes into effect tomorrow and continues until Sunday. 6 to 10 inches of snow possible above 3,000 feet. Satellite and radar showing relatively quiet conditions in the lower elevations. Any shower activity has died down, but we are definitely seeing that snow in the Cascades at the 10 o'clock hour. 40 degrees in Spokane, 44 in Moses Lake. That's fallen into the 30s across the Palouse and Pullman and Moscow. And it is going to be cold this weekend and into next week. Average highs are in the 50s. We will not see 50 degrees again until probably next weekend.
Michelle, thank you so much. Moving on now, could hundreds of tiny homes be the best option for homeless people in Spokane? Well, the nonprofit Jules Helping Hands think so. Now they're hoping city leaders will jump on board with the idea. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk joining us now and has been looking into that proposal and how much it would cost. Kyle, what did you find out?
Well, Jules Helping Hands wants to replace all those tents off I-90 in Freya with about 126 tiny homes. Founder Julie Garcia told us why this option would cost around $11 million in the first year is better than opening a large indoor shelter space.
The city of Spokane put out a call to nonprofits asking them to come up with a price and a plan to run a new 32,000 square foot emergency homeless shelter. Jules Helping Hands responded with a different idea. Instead of a big building, they're suggesting more than 120 tiny homes to replace all the tents you can see driving by on I-90.
All of them said the reason that they're in tents is it's a door to shut. It's their own private space. And pellet shelters have been successful in producing thriving communities and not such a terrible optic for the neighborhood that they're in.
People experiencing homelessness need a shelter that is better than a sidewalk and faster than the permanent solutions that can take months or even years to build.
Pallet shelters were created by a company in Western Washington. They have a 10-year lifespan and take just an hour to set up. The units are mold resistant, can be hooked up to air conditioning, and insulated up to -40 degrees. The 62 square feet can sleep 2 people.
Sleeping in a room with 500 other people is proven to not be successful. Even if you put 400 or 500 Boy Scouts in a room, eventually they're going to get on each other's nerves.
Jules estimates it would cost $11 million to fund the project during the first year, $1 million for the tiny homes and $10 million for staffing and social services that would be located on site. The property is owned by the Department of Transportation. WashDOT officials have made it clear they don't want the homeless camp here. But a spokesperson told us WashDOT is not going to put campers in a worse position by removing tents right now.
Driving in our city and seeing 150 tents on the side of the freeway is not an optic anybody wants to see, nor is it humane.
Garcia says the tiny homes would be more visually appealing, especially for families in the neighborhood. Garcia says volunteers continue to teach campers how to be good neighbors.
And next week, the city of Spokane is expected to select an organization to run the new homeless shelter. Jules Helping Hands is confident they'll be selected even with the $11 million price tag. In the studio, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Kyle, thank you so much. And now moving on to Nightbeat with a quick look at the day's top stories. Spokane Public Schools is considering several recommendations to its transportation system. Now, the district is asking students, parents, and staff to weigh in. Back at its March 23rd special board meeting, SPS introduced short and long-term changes to its transportation system. The district is looking at centralized bus stops, having students arriving to school 10 to 20 minutes earlier, depending on their grade level, decreasing the number of bus riders by increasing the range of student walk zones, as well as providing alternative options for early learning and choice programs. Coming up in about 5 minutes, we'll have a more in-depth look into that survey.
I'm optimistic that we will enroll very well. And I want to emphasize what I said before is that we welcome everybody, whether you're our patient or not, but we want to meet people where they are, ease their way, and most importantly, give them a chance to participate.
Sacred Heart's joining a region-wide study to understand the effects of long COVID. The Institute for Systems Biology is leading a multi-state project across the Pacific Northwest to better understand the impacts of COVID-19. In addition to Sacred Heart, Swedish Medical Center in Seattle and the University of Washington School of Medicine will recruit more than 900 patients throughout the Pacific Northwest over the next 4 years. And it was opening day for the Spokane Indians at Avista Stadium. By the way, it was also KREM 2 night. Coming up later, Travis Green will be bringing us the highlights from the baseball diamond. And that was a look at your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, be sure to text the word night to 509-448-2000. We'll send them right to your phone. In news around the Northwest, Planned Parenthood of Greater Northwest says the Idaho Supreme Court blocked Idaho's Texas-style abortion ban to take more time to review it. In a tweet, the Planned Parenthood says Senate Bill 1309, which was supposed to go in effect on April 22nd, has been blocked by the Idaho Supreme Court. This is the bill banning all abortions after 6 weeks and would have allowed immediate family members to sue the doctor should an abortion happen. Again, this is according to Planned Parenthood. The court ruled this is a pause to give both sides more time to prepare for the expected legal battle in the Idaho Supreme Court. Covering the nation tonight in Austin, Texas, 11 people injured when a T-bone type collision between two vehicles reportedly sent one into a group of pedestrians standing near a food truck. According to the Austin Travis County Emergency Medical Service, 2 of the patients received potentially life-threatening injuries. Another 2 declined treatment or transport to area hospitals. Austin's police department is investigating the incident. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris hosted an event today congratulating Ketanji Brown Jackson on her confirmation to the Supreme Court. During her nomination process, Jackson says she hoped her nomination would serve as an inspiration to other Americans. It was a point reiterated multiple times during today's ceremony.
In my family, it took just one generation to go from segregation to the Supreme Court of the United States. And it is an honor, the honor of a lifetime, for me to have this chance to join the court, to promote the rule of law at the highest level, and to do my part to carry our shared project of democracy and equal justice under law forward into the future.
Judge Jackson officially becomes an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court this summer once Justice Breyer retires. And the White House is joining the chorus of condemnation following a deadly attack on a rail station in eastern Ukraine that killed at least 50 people and wounded over 100 others. This development comes as the Russian invasion of Ukraine enters a new phase with casualties mounting on both sides. In response to Russian aggression, Congress voted to suspend normal trade relations with Russia and ban its oil imports. The European Union also approved a plan to phase out Russian coal, wood, and other products. And looking ahead, tomorrow, more than 500 Washington National Guard members will be taking part in a training exercise right here in Spokane. So don't be alarmed if you end up seeing a lot of activity near the Spokane Training Center or Fire Training Center, which is located by Spokane Community College. The Guardsmen are taking part in a Homeland Response Force disaster exercise. This is the team tasked with dealing with chemical, biological, or nuclear events. They'll be practicing responding to a potential disaster, including training on search and rescue, decontamination, and medical treatment. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. But don't go to bed just yet. Spokane Public Schools is considering several recommendations to its transportation. We get a closer look at the survey and reaction next.